Welcome to the Bentley channel. I'm Shmee150 and today here in Crewe, England, we're at Mulliner to create a bespoke commission based on the Bentley Continental GT Speed convertible. We're going to be building my dream specification, running through all of the different options, because with Mulliner you can let your imagination run wild in terms of materials, colours, paints, interiors, stitching, details, fine little elements that will really truly personalise a vehicle. We're here in the Mulliner commissioning room where you can see we've got plenty of different examples around. We're going to be taking a full look through these, the paints, the different options that you can go for. I've got to point out the 2003 Le Mans 24-hour winner's trophy that is sat right here as well. But as we explore through this room, you can get a small feel for how many different options you can go for. Some samples right here with different stitchings for the headrest. You can see more samples, different types of woods and the veneers, lots of different paints. But this is all controlled through the configurator that really brings it all together and the design team behind that. We will be joined in a moment by Phil and Hugo from Mulliner's design team to run through and build my dream specification. Well, here we are then.
Thank you for joining us today.
Absolute pleasure. So, where do we begin?
Where do you want to start? I think really we would normally start on the outside of the car. We talk some paint, and then maybe once we refine some colours, then we can start talking interior trim, and the world's your oyster.
So at this stage, when a customer comes to visit you, do they often have an idea in their mind, or is it really just this is where you propose things and they build from that?
No two customers are the same that we ever sit with. Some customers will come to us with 3 or 4 ideas, maybe cars that they've had in the past or cars they've seen at other retailers. Some customers come completely fresh, no ideas. We start with a completely blank car. You will even find customers will go on the factory tour and come back and have 1,000,001 ideas from going on our factory tour, just seeing all the different combinations come down the line in Crewe. So really we do just start with, what kind of colours you like, what colours you definitely don't like, and then we literally move on from there.
So I'm certainly falling into that trap a little bit. I've been seeing some things that really stand out and getting some ideas for what to go with. And my initial instinct is to pick something along the lines of a metallic dark green.
Okay.
I'm thinking a lighter interior with perhaps a contrast element for some pinstripes.
Yep.
But I suppose we've got to begin even before that, because we've got to go to the car. And
literally, yeah. So when we talk about, obviously, in this room, there are loads of different colours that we can choose from. Everything in the drawers behind us is all our standard colours. Everything on the table today is essentially bespoke. So this here is a colour called spruce. It's a retired colour that we no longer use. So we like to call it part of our Mulliner heritage range of paints. It is lighter than Verdant, which is our traditional Bentley metallic green, but still darker than our Alpine greens that we use. And the beauty of the Alpine green panel in front of you is it's part of our new satin range. So when you think of the Bentley range of paints, our satin colours have always traditionally been whites, silvers and blacks. And what we're finding now is that people are saying that when they want satins, they want satin versions of our wide range of colours. So in front of you here, we've got some reds and some blues, some blacks, and our first green. So really, again, we can go light greens, dark greens. If there was a green you saw on the factory tour today, we can show you that on the configurator, or we can move straight into bespoke colours.
it can almost be slightly overwhelming.
It can. We even have obviously the customers that will then say, we had one the other week where they wanted their nail varnish. And so they actually sent us the bottle and said they wanted it matched to that. And so again, some of these colours here are actually bespoke matched from some of the most unique and wonderful things that people ask for. So you could say to us, this green is too dark, that green is too light. We could look at all the current colours we have and go, well, actually, there isn't anything there. And then we would make a bespoke paint just for you for that car.
Wow, and that's obviously when you then have, as you said, satin, gloss, various levels of metallic.
Yep.
So many choices. Well, I have to say, for the time being, this is a wonderful start. This is a lovely colour, and I'm looking obviously at these interior headrest embroidery samples in front of me and thinking that makes for a stunning combination. Perfect.
So what we'll do then is Hugo will in the background start converting this lovely silver car into a green car and make the interior a bit lighter. And then while he's doing that, and you can obviously see, so the software we use within Mulliner takes the Bentley configurator to a whole new level. This software has everything that our configurator has in there, from paints, levers, woods, all the optional features. But then it also has our personal commissioning guides worth of equipment in there. So All of the different woods that you see in front of us, all the different paints, these are actually tweeds. So again, another feature that you can put in your Bentley now is that you can have tweeds on the door cards, the rear quarters, the edges of your seats. And then here it is an example. All of these colours here are the standard leathers that you can buy your Bentley in. So we have 15 standard range colours. And I wouldn't even like to tell you how many are in this hoop here because it grows every day, every week. So these are all our bespoke colours. And then these are all our like retired heritage colours from the Mulsanne Arnage era.
Okay.
So you do get customers that have obviously had an Arnage or Mulsanne and said, I love it in that colour. I want my next car in that colour.
So I'm just looking here at the extended colours, and there are some striking colours. I mean, every shade in here.
Yep.
Your purples, your pinks, blues, teals, greens. This is, I described it before as just letting your imagination run wild. And the beauty of the configurator to this extent is obviously going through and honing in all of the different elements, the stitching of the amazing inlays, just watching this transforming to give you a complete idea of exactly what this car can look like, where we can go with it.
You know, again, you know, the embroidered diamonds on our quilting have always traditionally been blind. And then we had a customer the other week that actually said, look, I want them everything contrast. I want everything to stand out. And as soon as you then start putting the contrast, it creates a completely different look to the seat.
Yeah.
Because it's something that you would never have seen before, nothing you'd ever expect. And you'll have customers that then go, can I have one stitch line go in one colour, the next one go in a different, and then can I have the embroidered diamonds are different? And so we really can go into those levels with the customer. And then with the leather, like we were saying with the paint. So earlier this year, we introduced a new colour into our range. It was called turquoise. We also have a colour called mint. And so either end of the spectrum, we had a light colour and a dark colour. And then someone said, again, I want something that is duller than that, but brighter than that. And so then Celeste became our next hide.
Okay.
And so within literally a 3-month window, we launched 3 new colours that we had. And that is that, again, same with our paints. It's the same level that this wheel gives you so much choice. But even then, in this wheel, there might be something that isn't right for you. Or again, that you've had it on a car before, similar. And so you want to have like, we've had people go, you know, this is the colour of my logo. And because I want the logo on my headrests, I would love that same Pantone in my car. And so we'll make a leather that's matched to that Pantone.
Okay.
So everything that you could ever imagine, we could do. And even down to the fact that we even have now, you know, hides that are coated in metallic coating.
That's quite nice. That could be an option
to
try and hear, because, I mean, we can explore dual tone interiors.
Yep.
Obviously, at the moment, the way we're looking at it, we've got quite we've got the let's say, almost white. What is the name of this?
So we call this linen. So linen is our lightest standard range colour. And it's a really nice colour. We obviously do have a lot of people now that go into the white colours. But I always like to say, from a usability point of view, unless you're always going to wear chinos and worry about getting in and out of the car, as much as white's great, if you have a lot of it, it really is, it's a standout car.
And slightly off-white is easier to maintain.
Yeah, and it does feel very traditional Bentley linen. It's a colour that's we've obviously had around for a long time.
So we're going with this quite traditional scheme, which I think also brings us slightly to interiors and inlays as well. That's a big topic. So there are many choices that we have here too.
So again, on our configurator today, we have a numerous range of standard wood veneers from obviously species of wood all around the world. We have a few technical finishes like the engine spin. We do a bright and a dark, which is traditional Bentley finishes. But what we do here in Mulliner is we like to actually explore beyond wood. Or even, we have some woods, but we like to go beyond wood. So the first one that we always love to talk about in front of you is stone.
Yep.
So this is actually sliced thinner than wood, which is a real nice story. So when people think of stone in car, they will think of heavy, weighty material, but this is actually lighter than our wood veneers. So it's a real nice story.
You're right, that is completely the opposite of what you would expect. So a stone veneer is lighter because it's sliced more thinly than a wood veneer.
Yep.
Wow.
And so we have currently 4 stones in the car. So we have Galaxy, Terra, Copper, and then one called Autumn, which is behind us. So essentially we cover the dark blacks and blues. We have a red, we have a more browny, earthy colour, and then we have a whiter colour that goes well with the linen. And for us, you know, stone has really, again, when more people actually start to see it in the car, see how we use those colours and how we then maybe use them with paints or with woods to have that really different combination, we've seen a real massive uptake in people wanting those kind of finishes this year.
I like where this has gone with the dual tone in the dark green.
Yep. As soon as you then take away the black and you start to put the Cumbrian green into the interior, and of course this is a very earthy stone. So this is what we call copper stone, and it's this one in between the two woods in the middle. And so again, you can see how that works. Obviously, this is you've got the green, the linen. You can see how the three colours work really well together, especially with the paint. We also do a lot of open pore woods now. So obviously, open pore woods use less lacquer. So they're also slightly more environmentally friendly because we're using less lacquer on the wood. It gives you a completely different tactility to the material. And the GT is an amazing car because we obviously have this amazing split veneer that runs through the dashboard. And split veneer within Mulliner gives us so much choice because it allows us to show things to customers that they wouldn't have even thought about. Stone over wood, stone over paint. So we start here, this is obviously fully stone at the minute.
I think I'm leaning in the direction of a wood finish with my traditional style that we're going for here. Of course, we're talking the Speed, the flagship sporty performance car with I like that slight mix of it, that more traditional style visually. Again,
when some people think of Speed, they think of carbon fibre, they think black interior, and people think that the lighter colours traditionally work better with our Azure derivative. But again, it's all about customers' taste and perception of the brand. I still think a GT Speed in traditional colours works really well. And it's how you use those materials. So the split veneer allows us to potentially put an open pore wood on the top of the veneer, but then a high gloss finish wood on the bottom. So you have the same two species of wood, burr walnut, but you have an open pore finish over a gloss finish.
But can you mix anything? I mean, as seen in the background, the changing of painted sections, different carbon was on there as well.
Yep.
You can have anything you like, top and bottom.
Anything you like.
Wow.
So again, like another thing that we haven't got on the table today is a lot of people have actually started requesting, cleaner interiors. Okay. They're maybe not so fussed about the wood, or the grain of the wood is too busy for them. So we even do veneers now that are matched to the leather colour. So we have a piano linen, we have a piano Cumbrian green. And so what customers say is, well, can I have a thin strip of wood, which makes it feel like I've still got some wood in the car, but then I want to then actually declutter the interior a bit. And then they have a piano linen either under or above. So whichever way they want to go. So this again, we'll show you here. This is piano linen over the wood or under the wood.
It's magical to watch this.
But again, you could even have it on the console. You could have a different finish altogether again. So on the console, you could have our Côte de Genève. You could have an engine spin. The choice is there.
The beauty of this, as I see it, is running through all of these different ideas and just trying things gives the customer the opportunity to say, hey, I like that.
Or
whatever it was.
Hold on there, actually, we even sometimes go into the fact that what we'll do is we'll do the left-hand side of the car slightly different to the right. Okay. And then we then say, well, actually, here right now, you can see the linen is running underneath the wood and it's going down into your centre console. But what you might then say is, well, can I try one side in all green and one side in the linen, just to see which side of the car I prefer? Yeah, and that's the beauty of this software. You can then go, actually, right, I'll have green on this side, I'll have linen on the other, and I'll work out which one I want. Now,
we're doing this, of course, on a car that is fairly highly spec'd. We've got the rotating display, we've got the name sound system upgrade, we've got a lot of the exterior options as well. So we're a highly equipped car. And you've got the Bentley standard options,
yes,
which itself is what the customer will maybe work through with the dealer or perhaps come and work with you as well.
Yeah, so some customers will come to us with what we would like to call a base spec, just to maybe give us an idea of where to start from. Some features that maybe they've had on a car before that they like, and obviously some features maybe that they don't like. Us as part of the session, we like to talk around some of the intricate details of those. If you don't have rotating display, which is for us one of the most amazing features of the interior of this car, a three-sided display that is like a real theatre piece when you
watching it move.
And watching it move. If you don't have it, your wood then no longer runs through. So straight away, if you were then to start do something really special with the veneer, so for example, we have this lovely chrome pinstripe that does split our veneer up. And we have a few customers that then say, well, what could I do with that? And obviously, depending on what kind of specs of interiors they do, we talk about maybe adding an accent colour to it, or even the exterior paint. And so here, we're bringing a bit of that exterior spruce green into the interior, making it all kind of feel like it's one part of the car.
That's the kind of thing I like.
Exactly. These are the little details that we go into and how it will then run through the bullseye as well. So it all lines up the whole way through. You know, we can do it in the leather colours. But if you don't buy that standard feature of a rotating display, you then have to remind the customer, well, hold on, that line will stop. And you will be left with that big black screen when the car's off. So it's all about how the car looks as well when it's stationary. You know, the name audio speakers are real beautiful pieces of art.
Yeah.
The name in the middle illuminates. So again, it's those little details. But if you were to not have the audio and you were to just have the standard audio, you end up with what we call, you see the rear mesh speaker.
Okay.
So we talk to customers about how they like to use their cars. Do they like listening to music? Is you know, music quality really important to them? But even if music quality isn't important to them, it's how does the overall look of the car look when it's finished? And would that silver speaker on the back of the door be an issue for the design of the interior?
Yeah, I understand.
And so that's why we say, you know, for us, it's not just about, we're not here to sell options. We're here to sell the most beautiful car that we can create.
Yeah.
And even, you know, down to obviously, you know, the tread plates here, they say Bentley. We will do different patterns. So earlier this year, we did some cars for Orlando that had the solar system laser etched into those tread plates. So when you open the door at night, the solar system illuminated. We have customers that will give us their signature, and we will actually, again, laser etch the signature into that illuminated tread plate, have their, you know, company logo on the headrest. And again, with these sessions, we can take those features and we can actually show them live how these would look. On the outside of the car as well, you know, if you were to do an accent colour, like say we were to do this silver on, say, your piping on the inside of the car, what we could then do is on our body kits, we can then do a silver pinstripe. So it's a 6mm line that is hand painted on top of the carbon kit. And obviously, depending on the colours of the car you choose, you know, it's either a real standout shouty feature, if you were to say have the turquoise, or one of those features that from a distance, maybe you don't see it, but then when you're walking around the car, you're talking about the car, it's just something that catches your eye.
I'm thinking I would quite like the idea of a little silver pinstripe around, probably with silver wheels to match it.
Yes.
Fits more of our traditional look. Of course, the sportier look with the black wheels, but...
Yeah, but this is it again, you know, people obviously assume that when you take all the chrome off the car that you have to have a black wheel. But you don't have to, you know, we do see a lot of this where people have, you know, they de-chrome the car, but then they still want a brighter finish on the wheel. We'll even have customers that will say, well, actually, could I have body coloured wheels?
Okay.
And again, you know, it does happen.
At the click of a button.
A click of a button. Some people will even say that carbon fibre is not for them. So we even can do the body kit in carbon in the paint,
yeah,
but we can still keep the pinstripe.
Oh, okay.
And so what we like to say, especially on the Speed, traditional customers, having a body-coloured body kit, actually it keeps the sportiness, but it feels more traditional. Because carbon fibre, of course, isn't a traditional material for Bentley.
That's really interesting, because it almost stands out
more. Yeah.
Because you're not expecting it.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, I have to be honest, I am quite a carbon fibre fiend, so I probably want to keep the exposed carbon. But I do like the subtle silver pinstripe.
Yeah.
That matches in with the wheels.
You know, we have a few customers that will even then paint the body kit fully contrast. So, you know, some people would then say, well, actually, I'll paint the whole body kit silver.
Okay.
And obviously, again, what we do is we like to show them how that looks. So around the front, it looks great because you only see a very small amount of the splitter. But around the back, you really see that contrast colour on a diffuser.
Yeah.
And so again, it's all about, you know, that's the beauty of these sessions, is to actually show them how it would look. And then even do one half of the car in body colour, one half in carbon. And then again, you see, which side do I prefer?
Yeah. The fascinating thing here is being able to produce this in real time.
In real time, yeah.
And such an accurate representation of how the car will look.
Yeah, so the way the session normally works is either we end the session with 90% of the specification done, 100% done. Sometimes a customer may build 2 or 3 cars. And then what we would then do is we all go away and we will then obviously then create a pack of images for the customer. We send that to them. And then we can either then re-meet back in Crewe, we can re-meet digitally over Teams or Zoom and change anything. You know, you'll even find that you'll get WhatsApp messages from customers just saying, you know, they've made annotations over the top. You know, taking a photo of the pictures we've sent and Phil, what would it look like if we try this? And that's the great, you know, features of doing these projects is is seeing like people's imaginations go wild.
So what can we do with the roof?
So with the roof on the car, obviously we have a standard set of colours, blacks, greys, reds. But actually on a green car, we have a real nice material, which is tweed. And again, really, really traditional colour, but
fits
actually
the theme, doesn't
fits
it?
the theme so well. And of course, it's sometimes one of those things you forget when you do a convertible. Because again, you always think about these cars roof down, but it is so important how it all works together on that one day that, maybe more than one day in England. But what material you have on that and how it all fits together.
When the majority of the time it's parked with the roof up.
Yes.
So it has to look good like that.
It has to look good. And that's what we love about the tweed material.
Now, we haven't yet gone into, I'm looking here at samples with animals, for example.
Yep.
This is where I could suggest to you, can we do my logo, or could we do some character that means something to me, or...
Yeah.
And your team goes away and creates that as well.
So what we normally then do is, you would send something to us. We then obviously work in Illustrator. We obviously try and plan it all out. But we obviously have a really good relationship with our trim department in Crewe. And we will just sit there with a laptop. We will then walk through the whole, idea, the concept, the colours maybe. We'll go away for half an hour, and amazingly what they can turn out in half an hour is amazing. And again, normally what we would do is make 2 or 3 samples. We'd send them to you. And you'd say, too big, too small, I like this, I like that, could we change this thread colour? So some of the ones on here, I am going to say, our first times, we literally do it, the customer's like amazed. The bird, for example, was probably about 7 or 8 attempts, just going back and forth, changing the amount of white in the feathers, changing the amount of detail in the face. But that's the challenge. We really thrive on that challenge of trying to get exactly what they want in this car. Because at the end of the day, you want your customer to be happy, you want them to have really enjoyed this experience, and to come back and do it again and maybe even go further next time.
There are so many options. I mean, I feel like we're already well on the way to making a lovely vehicle here.
Yeah.
And we've only scratched on the surface of what's possible.
Yeah, you will meet some customers that will, I would say, the shortest ones we've done are probably maybe half an hour to an hour. I've done ones that have literally been 6-7 hours, and at the end of it, I've gone home. And before I've even got home, I've had an email from them saying, actually,
try this?
You've blown my mind, and what else could we do? And then, I went back the next day, and I spent another 6 hours with them. And then by the end of it, we'd finished. And then I got back to Crewe, and just before we ordered, we changed 1 or 2 more things. So it's that service that we like to offer, because at the end of the day, we want to show the customers everything they can do. We also like to be challenged. So, when we launched the tweeds, we only had 4 colours. And then we had a customer that said, I really want damson leather on the inside of my car, which is... work out which way I need to go with this. So this is damson leather. And they wanted damson tweed. So we did a tweed to match the leather.
Okay.
And so again, that was it. They really wanted tweed. They loved the whole idea of tweed. But of course, the 4 we had just didn't work with the rest of the colours. Mm-hmm. And so that was a challenge to us. Could we do a different tweed? The first time we ever did a logo on the illuminated tread plate, we'd only ever done wording before. So it was a challenge for us, but it was a challenge that we really enjoyed doing. And you have customers that say, I had this wood in my Bentley from the 1990s, and could I have it in my GT? And so we go up to wood shop. Do we even still have stock of that veneer? Question number 1. Could we do a trial to see if we can press that veneer onto our newer substrates? And then actually, how does that wood now perform against our current testing? And so they're the challenges we like. And last year we did that. We had a customer that wanted chestnut wood. They had it in a car they'd had before. They'd seen it again at the dealer. It reminded them that they loved that wood. And we did a GTC with chestnut wood in it. And we'd never done it before. We don't know when we'll next do it again. But it was that real fun story with working with all the other departments in the factory to achieve getting what the customer wanted in their car.
Wow.
So,
well, all I can say is thank you for the opportunity to experience a small part of this.
No, thank you.
The quickest spec session that you've ever done. But that is a stunning looking car, and maybe one day we might see it come to reality.
Well, the number plate's already on it, ready for next year.
There we have it. Let's say round one of creating my dream Bentley Continental GT Speed convertible. I think you got the theme though from Phil with Hugo working in the background to create this in the configurator, that you really can go with your imagination. You can introduce so many different elements, and this is the idea behind Mulliner, to be able to create a bespoke Bentley vehicle. What a fascinating experience. Thank you for watching.